Welcome to Working for Women, the Independent Women's Forum podcast, where we are changing the conversation about women and public policy for the better.
Welcome. I'm Carrie Lucas, president of IWF, and I'm here today with IWF's Julie Gunlock. Julie, thanks so much for being on with me.
Thanks for having me.
Great. And Julie, we're going to be talking about soda restrictions.
Right.
I'm really interested to hear about this. I feel like this is one of those issues that pops into the news every once in a while. It always seems like something that policymakers are interested in. But can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in Connecticut?
Yeah, well, you're right. We've seen these things over and over again. Politicians never seem to really look at whether these things work. They just keep introducing them in different states and different localities. The most famous one was Mayor Bloomberg, who instituted it was kind of odd. It was a restriction on the size of soda that could be purchased. Of course, he didn't eliminate the ability to buy multiple sodas, so people could still drink as much soda as they wanted, but they had to spend more. And it was found to be unconstitutional. A judge in New York dismissed or rather overturned the restriction, and so that went away. And then we've seen a variety of taxes. Chicago had a big soda tax, and Philadelphia has a big soda tax, and these things have been utter failures. It hasn't really moved the needle on obesity at all. And we have a lot of studies that show that when you tax or try to restrict soda, people will simply switch to another sugary or alcoholic beverage. A really interesting study out of Dartmouth. They artificially raised the price of some sodas to see how that would affect the marketplace, and the sales of beer went through the roof. So people will find calorie replacements. It doesn't necessarily need to be soda. Maybe they'll drink more sugary Starbucks drinks or juices or other things. So politicians never seem to learn from this, and people who analyze it and watch these trends are constantly saying, hey guys, this really isn't helping with the obesity crisis. Apparently that hasn't really made that news hasn't made it to Connecticut. In Connecticut, they have introduced a new bill that would take sodas and other high sugar drinks like juices and chocolate milk off menus in restaurants. So restaurants would literally be banned from offering these drinks on their menus. Now, the idea behind this, or really the motivation behind this, is to help reduce childhood obesity. This will do nothing to help with childhood obesity. And what's most galling about this to me is that it's a one-size-all sort of solution, right? So it bans it. It doesn't just ban it for the kids who have a weight problem. It bans it for everyone. And Carrie, we're good friends. I mean, you know my kids, and I have kids that are, all of them are officially underweight. Well, I have one child who's severely underweight, and we try so hard to get him to, we try so hard to get calories into this kid. And so the idea that I would go to a restaurant and the children's meal, which are usually, it comes with a drink, I would then need to order a drink off the adult menu in order to get him like a chocolate milk, something that will give him the calories. So it punishes people, and frankly, it punishes really poor people the most, who would probably have trouble going to the adult menu and ordering a full-size, chocolate milk or an adult-sized chocolate milk, instead of just getting the kids' meal, which comes with a drink. So again, these are look, you can say that these are well-meaning. These politicians are trying to tackle these issues, but it's really silly, and it does nothing. And there are a lot of obesity is a complex issue, and instead of really addressing the reasons kids are obese, they do these sort of gestures and things that not only harm the consumer, but harm the restaurant industry, which of course has to comply with this new law.
It's funny because as you were talking about this, and I hadn't read much about it yet, I was wondering. So I said, well, how are you going to ban it for kids if you're not going to ban it for adults? Since there's such an obvious, easy workaround to get your,
right.
If you were going to get your kid, if you wanted to get Jack a juice, you could just order one from that menu.
The adult menu. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not only that. It's not only that. Look, it's this idea that the only thing that causes obesity is a beverage. I mean, kids are also eating pepperoni pizza. Okay, kids are also ordering chicken fingers and French fries. I mean, if you want to look at the kids' menus in these, I actually have to order. My middle son loves salads. And so, there's never a salad on a kid's menu. Now, you could say, well, and I'm fine with that. That is the market speaking. Not a lot of kids want salad, and I'm happy to order that off the adult menu. But, the idea that is the only thing, that it's the soda is the only thing causing obesity is absurd. It's an easy target. It's sort of one of these, who are the big bad companies out there? And obviously big soda is thought to be, you're, all you do is provide nutritionally empty products out there. And so it's better for a politician to attack big bad soda rather than talk about the real reasons for childhood obesity, which I've written about this for years. It is largely due to instability in the home. Children whose parents put them to sleep on time, limit their screen time, and have a family dinner at least 5 times a week. Those children have lower rates of obesity. So, of course, politicians don't want to talk about that, right? They don't want to talk about the failures of the American family. It's much easier to go, well, it's Coke's fault or it's Pepsi's fault.
Yeah. Is it, it's interesting as you say that, because it's also the question of targeting this idea of not having a Happy Meal or having your kids, able to when they're have access to these products when they're in a restaurant. It seems as though that's really taking, a very kind of bizarre focus on one small avenue for kids getting Happy Meal, getting their Happy Meal or whatever, their juice there, because I would assume that most of the consumption of, because obviously I think it's, it probably is, it's better. Parents shouldn't just be, most parents, especially if you do have children that are struggling with weight issues, are too heavy. You should be careful about not, having them drink water instead of juice, not having soda, things like that. I try, obviously a mom, juice is really something that we have a special occasion. I don't let my kids drink soda almost ever. But that's something that, the restaurant is the one place where I might say, okay, sure, let's have a Coke. It's, enjoy whatever. It's a special occasion, because going to a restaurant for us is a special occasion with the kids. It seems as though if there's a problem with sugary drink consumption, it's going to be one that is at home, not when you're at, whatever restaurant.
Right. That's exactly right. And look, this is the thing, there's also this idea that, it's the obesity problem is really, within poor populations, the poor demographic of families. And the truth, and there are all these snide comments that these public health people make. Oh, these people, they go to McDonald's all the time and they order these, big gulp drinks. I don't think big gulp actually exists anymore, but you get the point. These big, large sugary sodas. And it's interesting, Share Our Strength, which is a very well-known anti-hunger organization that works in poor populations and works to help them with their food needs. They did a poll many years ago, but it's still relevant today, where it found that those who live at or under the poverty line only go out to eat about once a week, and it's a real treat for them. And so they're not eating at restaurants very much. And this goes back to your issue or your point that, look, there could be some dietary problems within the home. And how do you address that? Well, again, it gets back to these family issues. I think there are ways to help with childhood obesity. And what frustrates me so much is there's never an educational campaign. There's never talking to parents about what actually helps kids stay at healthy weights. And if I think parents knew that sitting down to a family dinner, and I'm not talking about, really fancy stuff. I'm saying if you boil some rice and have, some chicken and maybe some boiled broccoli, just simple food. It's the point of parents sitting down with the kids and having conversations. Sometimes I don't eat. I'm just standing there at the kitchen counter and I'm feeding my kids, but I'm talking to them. If you limit your children's screen time, we all know that kids are spending way too much time on screens. This is another part of the problem. Nobody's talking about the lack of activity. The latest polling shows that kids are spending less than like a half an hour. One World Wildlife Fund poll showed, they polled kids, showed that kids were getting on average about 7 minutes playing outside, running around, getting fresh air and physical exercise. And so why does no one talk about that? Part of the problem for that, of course, is we live in a really overly nervous world where some parents actually prefer their kids to be inside playing video games because they're so spooked about predators or, oh, their kid could get kidnapped, which of course is not going to happen. But so we have this culture where I think some parents really prefer their kids not to get out there and exploring things. But this contributes to the obesity problem. And again, we're not talking about that, about the lack of physical activity among our kids, and the fact that they might be eating unhealthy food at home and have unstable family dynamics. Those are the things we need to focus on and really get educational campaigns going. I mean, I don't think we really need to spend much money on educational campaigns, but if we're going to do any kind of government involvement in this, I think, explaining to parents that their actions matter would be a lot better than some arbitrary ban of one ingredient, sugar, on restaurant menus.
Yeah. Julie, I think I appreciate it. I think we can, boil this down to some simple, facts. Make sure your kids go outside and run around, for a while every single day. Don't let them watch too much TV or play too much on the iPad or their phones. You eat with them and make sure they're eating generally healthy. And then go to a restaurant, have some fun, enjoy having a sugar treat. Put them to bed at a normal time.
Put them to bed at a normal time. Look, I don't know why parents don't do this. Who wants a kid up at 10 o'clock at night? My God, I can't wait for my kids to go to sleep. So you're right. Those are some simple steps, and those are the things that are going to work to keep kids healthy.
Well, Julie, thank you so much for this, and thank you to the listeners out there. Please come and visit us at IWF.org. Make sure if you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up and come back and see us again. Come visit us at IWF.org, where all issues are women's issues.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please give it a thumbs up, share it on social media, or stop by IWF.org for similar content.